Alright, hello. Welcome back to the video. I'm gonna make this quick. I'm not gonna call this like the official comeback tour of this channel, but one of my friends, Quinn, wanted me to do a tier list for him. He said that he values my opinion about this game and wants to see what I think about a lot of the decks now that are coming out, whether it's Blazing Dominion, support, or current decks, and kind of put them where I think they're adjusted to. For the current meta, or for Blazing Dominion, which is coming out in approximately I think maybe like a week from now. I think it's what, the 8th, so about, I don't know, 8 days less, something like that. Now, with any tier list, here's what I want you guys to know. For anyone that watches this video, please take this with a large grain of salt. Most Yu-Gi-Oh YouTubers either have no idea what they're talking about, probably myself included, or are extremely biased. And I have some biased opinions. Whatever I say, take it with a grain of salt. Don't believe everything you hear, and please don't follow the exact word and advice of everything that any Yu-Gi-Oh YouTuber says that posts a tier list video, because you're not going to get the full context, and you're always going to get a lot of subjective viewpoints on what that deck is, what it's going to be. There's just a lot of favoritism. My recommendation, just like it is for any of my friends, anyone I test with, test the decks that you like. See if you like them. See if you're skilled at them. See if you want them, and then buy them and then play them. That's it, really. You know, a lot of it is comfort with the deck, and if the deck is modern enough to compete, like, you can take Rescue Ace to a regionals right now and top with it if you're skilled enough. You know, there's a big factor about representation numbers. Like, if you're the only Rescue Ace player in a 600 person Philly regional 11 rounds, you might not top, but that's only because there's only one of you compared to 599 other players. Stuff like that to keep in mind. With that being said, let's just get started. I'm not going to edit this too much. There's not going to be much flair to this, besides like the thumbnail and a few cuts here and there, just for like when I'm coughing like an idiot. So the first one is Yubel. Let me preface, the ban list is around the corner, and a lot of these decks are, the way I'm justifying them is the two most pointed at cards right now on the ban list are Drone Lockbird and Dimensional Shifter, D-Shifter. Yeah, so if those two get banned, then a lot of these decks are very playable. There's upcoming support during Blazing Dominion format and Chaos Origins where there's going to be a lot of reveals. We got all of the reveals for Witchcrafter, Toon. So the last one is Unchained, and just like it is with the last wave of Unchained support back in like, what was that, like 2021, 2022, something like that. I don't know, it's been a long time, maybe later. Yubel benefits greatly off those because they all pop. I think no matter what, I couldn't see Konami making it so these Unchained cards say something like you can only summon Unchained monsters the rest of the turn. I think they're going to be just more combo Fiend Slop. You know, more one card tour guide full combo with targeting protection, stuff like that. So I'm pretty sure Yubel is going to get a big boost from that. And so if those cards are released, I haven't checked the release date of the new decks for all the three of them, but if they are released into the next format with the new ban list, I could see Yubel here. And here's what I'll do. I'll put it this way. I think if the support is good enough, Yubel can definitely top regional, for sure. I have no doubt about it. People aren't even giving this deck enough credit, especially Phantom Yubel comes back to 2. I think that'd be crazy. Another one I put in here, I actually forgot to add it in this massive pile that I have, Unchained in here. With the new cards, I would put it in here. It will top regionals or top 64 at the least. A lot of people really are waiting for the Unchained support, and that whole deck has a cult following around it. So I think that deck will be showing up in tournament reports for top tables. Radiant Typhoon, I don't have to explain this. I think this is the least likely of the powerful decks right now because it's going to get hit. But it's still going to be a good deck even if their internal engine gets hit. This just makes it so it can't be played in other decks, and it's more of like a pure deck in which I think people are just going to revert back to something like Yummy or something like Runic, which I like the Runic variant. Next one, Archfiend. I'd put it more on here like tops of locals. I genuinely think this deck has teeth to it. I think this deck is good. Can play through a lot of hand traps, can OTK out of nowhere. Lots of non-engine, but I don't think the second wave didn't cover all the areas that it needed. Konami had a really good opportunity to make this wave something that actually made it meta relevant, because what they gave it in the wave prior was such a good foundation for this deck to run on. and I think the support is good. I don't think it's as good as it should have been, or even could have been. And instead of 3 cards, I think it could have used an additional 2 cards just to replace some of the really old bad ones. Anything, you know, like even just an extender from hand, a special summon that searches, that would have been good. This is assault mode. I think it just has the same problem where the support it should have gone was not enough. I just can't see this deck topping a regionals. I personally love the lines. I love the play style. Stardust Dragon assault mode is one of the craziest cards of all time if you can summon it out, especially because it's not once per turn or once per copy. Card's crazy, but I think it's just kind of relegated to here, unfortunately. Blue Eyes, you can argue with a wall. This deck has so much going for it. Yeah, it's weak. It has its weaknesses, but so does every other deck. This deck will not win a YCS or Nats, I can guarantee you that. At least one Blue Eyes deck out there that's doing well. It has such a dedicated fan base, and they're getting their new support, which is the Raigeki. I think this deck can still do well with the right pilots and numbers that are representative of a lot of people actually bringing it. I think if you put 10 Blue Eyes players in a room of 600 people at a regionals, I think one of them would get to, at the minimum, top 64. Branded, I'm going to put this at the top of will top of regionals. This is a deck you're always going to be seeing for now at top 16, top 8, top 4, if not just winning a regionals. I don't think I really have to explain this too much. This deck is just crazy. Wowbaz is just a great clown crew. So where I'm going to put this for now, and this is going to change, I'm going to put this here because it's a new deck. And a lot of people are going to play with a new deck. A lot of people are attracted to this deck because the novelty of it is drawing 4 in the end phase, lots of interruption. It cannot go second. I really don't believe in this deck's ability to go second, but going first, it's crazy. I think this is going to show up for the first, like, maybe month or so in top regional reports, and then probably fall off until the better support comes out. That'll maybe kick it back up to, like, around here. I think it's going to start here. It's going to end up here in, like, a month. And then with the new support, it'll probably be, like, the top of this list. If not, maybe the bottom of here. Crystron, I'd put this better than Blue Eyes. I think any version, like Crystron K9, which the K9 stuff is going to get hit. I don't think Ripper's going to get hit. I think they're going to hit Izuna, so that way people would have to play a massive K9 engine, which no one's going to do. So I think it's just going to go back to either pure Crystron or Horus Crystron, which Horus Crystron is really good because you can set up Photon Lord. Before you commit to anything, you get King Sark, you get a draw. Maybe get Smiger, Solfafnir, Solfador in the graveyard, Praesiordal, Fistfern. Really good options all around, honestly. Very comfortable and confident right now putting Crystron here. I don't think it's a deck that has been power crept yet. Dark World, so this is again one of those decks where if Shifter and Droll is banned, this becomes a pretty immediate threat because this deck does not lose to most hand traps because none of it is once per turn. You can't Ash the dangers, they just activate them again. You can't impulse anything from the graveyard because they're inherent summons. And because most of them are mandatory effects, you get priority as the player to put them in the chain where they're chain blocked away from impulse or purge. And you're summoning like Genta, then summoning Silva. And Silva's the one that you want to stop, but you can't because you're just going to chain block it to death. So I think if all those cards go, Nib's a problem, but I don't know. This deck can go first. This deck can go second. This deck is just crazy, honestly. Or like Dimensional Fissure. Those kinds of things that hold this deck back. And if those cards go, which a lot of people are pining for, I would actually put this. I put it here. Again, this is one of those things where you can argue with a wall, but playing a format without Dimensional Fissure, without Droll, without D-Shifter, and then play against this deck, and you're going to find yourself struggling a lot more than you think. This deck is just insane. I played against my friend John. He had a branded board with like 12 interruptions, play through them all and OTK'd him with the Rainbow Fusion at 14k attack, blew up his board. It was crazy. Yummy. If Yummy isn't hit that hard on the ban list, I'd put it here. If it gets another hit on the ban list, I put it here. I would say at that point, like, even Crystron becomes better in consistency and power, versatility, just than Yummy. There's only so much you can do left with Yummy to hurt it to the point where it's just a dead deck. Honestly, if it gets to the point where it's like you're banning Yummy Surprise or Snatchy is banned, or you're limiting all of their starters, shit, I would put it even below Blue Eyes at that point. But until I see what happens, I would put it here. If the ban list hurts it that much, then I'd put it here. Rahu, I don't think I need to explain anything here. For now, until the ban list, this is probably the best deck. I would say more branded Draco Tail, obviously, than pure Draco Tail. I think branded Dracotail or the Magistus branded Dracotail, whatever mixed version you're playing, is just really good. I'd say that's the deck that's going to win Nationals if it's still around by then, if it's not hurt by the ban list. This deck's viability is super dependent on the ban list, and limit Rahu or ban that, or they limit Imena, they limit Arthalion. Honestly, if they do a bunch of crazy stuff like that, I would put it like all the way down here at that point. This deck might just be off people's radar. Drytron is Genesis. I put this on here because I like it, and I was thinking about it recently. It's one of the decks that I play a lot. Kind of one of those things where it's like, if Droll and Shifter stay, here you go. If Droll and Shifter Dimensional Fissure go, probably like, I'd say here, tops locals. I put here depending on the ban list, but if the ban list doesn't change anything meaningful, then I would just put it here. Earth Machine gets some of the most insane support I've ever seen. This deck becomes very meta viable after Blazing Dominion, in my opinion. I just think it's going to take a lot more people to actually play the deck to show the consistent numbers at a tier 2 or higher event. I would actually put this deck, in terms of what it can do going first now and going second, probably somewhere between like what Branded is able to put up, especially if the ban list hits Shifter, Droll, I mean, I would put it anywhere within like this range of 3 right here. So I'm just going to put it in the middle here just to show it's like somewhere along this line. And if Yummy gets hit, then I'd probably move these 2 up and move this back below Blue Eyes. Anycraft, I think this deck is gas. I think this deck is going to top some events. I think this deck is definitely going to show up in more top 64s. And I think we're all forgetting that this deck has consistently put up regional tops. I genuinely think this deck is going to smite down a lot of people. I put it up here. Just even in general, I put it up here. I played this deck so much. And I'll tell you what, half the time I don't care about Droll. I'll just set 5 cards, pass. Good luck. Especially with the new support like the Spider, the Monster, the Spell. They get a bunch of crazy stuff. I put it here. And if Yummy gets hit, I'd do this easily any day of the week. The Anycraft just doesn't lose to basic stuff. Like, if you try to Arc Lord Christia this, I'm just going to spell card Soul Exchange. I'm just going to tribute 3 monsters for Sphere mode. If I'm going first, and I know you're playing hand traps, first action is going to be, if I have it, set a Torimar, start playing, you Ash Blossom me, flip a Torimar, and God forbid I have the field spell, I'm going to bounce a Torimar back to my hand and reset it for another negate. So good. This deck is absolute gas. I think this deck is going to be locked in and actually maintain a very powerful position for a long time. I think this deck is going to be here for a long time. Exosister, if Shifter gets hit, it loses one of its win cons. If Droll gets hit, this deck does do a little bit better. Then I would put this here, put this here. Both these decks are pretty good, but if you guys get my point. If the Unchained support's crazy, I would put this here, maybe even up here. I think Exosister is already starting to fall off again. I think it put up a lot of tops initially and now starting to slow down and fall off. I don't think this is better than any of these here. To be honest, I don't. All right, so here's what I'm gonna do. This 3, I'm not counting Fiendsmith as like an engine here. I'm just counting this as one deck because any deck can play Fiendsmith, but I think the only one that can play it the best right now is Fiendsmith Chimera Hecahands, and the new support for Hecahands really bolsters this deck. So what I'm gonna do, I'm actually gonna put this like here as one deck. So these 3 that I'm putting up right now, Fiendsmith, Chimera, Hecahands, these 3 right here, I'm actually going to say these are just one deck. I think that deck rocks. I think, especially if you're playing like the Azamina stuff, I think this deck just shits on so much. It might be better than Blue Eyes. I don't think it's better than Earth Machine. I don't think it'd be better than any of this depending on the ban list, but I'd say it's probably better than Blue Eyes in a vacuum of like, it has more pushes. It doesn't really care that much about the stuff that Blue Eyes does because, you know, you're dodging targeting stuff like Ultimate. So I probably even put this down here as like one deck. Again, this is one deck. I know it's going to look long, but this is just one deck. Fire King, I don't know. This deck's a tough choice. Like that threshold of this can definitely top a regionals, but depends on the player. And it just doesn't care about like what the Unchained stuff does because if you pop their stuff, they get additional effects anyway, additional triggers. I would say this is probably like about here. That feels about right. I love this deck personally. I'm still playing this deck as one of my like what 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11 12 13 14 15 decks that I have built right now. I always come back to this. I love this deck. For Hire, people are really sleeping on this deck. Rex Ride for Hire is such an insane card. Folgo, draw 3, Rafale for monster negate, Wiz for spell negate, trap card to banish any amount on the field up to the number of for hires with different names. The field spell's crazy. This mixed with Runic is really good. I think people aren't looking at this deck enough, honestly. I just don't think it could play through like a Dirac Meteor. I don't, unless you have the field spell. The field spell, you can play right through it. I just don't know if you'd be able to get like Rafale up and maintain it before they use Dirac Meteor, because they could like Kieran it off the board. I'd probably put it here. Compared to the stuff up here, depending on the ban list, again, a lot of this list is very dependent on the ban list. I feel comfortable there for now. This could definitely move up depending on the player. I think these two are more like win a locals for now. This one, depending on the Unchained support, or if they get like Phantom of Yubel back. These two are definitely in the top part of here of can top of regionals, just like player dependent. Gem Knight, this one catches people off guard. I would put this up here as well. I probably put this here because this deck has 0 capability to go first, but you will win like every game going second with this. Again, this is more of a Ken Topper regionals, just depends on the player, but I don't think it has the inherent ability to get past like what Clown Clan does even. Heroes, Miracle Ejector at 3 is so good, it's unbelievable. I'd say you're probably going to see 1 or 2 people like get at top 64 or higher with heroes over the next month or two. Because Miracle Ejector, no one's gonna, because you're either gonna get Cosmo Neost or you're gonna get comboed through like 2 hand traps, because Miracle Ejector ends you on the trap card for Shining, Flared, Neo Swingman, whatever that is, to pop 2, ends you on Dark Law, DP, and the one that resets fusion spells or quick plays. Like just one Miracle Ejector does all that. So I think you're going to see this. This is one of my pet decks, Infernoid. Unfortunately, even though I win often with my friends with this, although I'm just seeing now this is like an inappropriate version of Fire King, because I think that's like Snake Eyes or something. Whatever. Just know that this is pure Fire King, or Dirac Fire King. You could top a locals with this. Yeah, I'm comfortable with that. I don't really think I need to explain. This deck has a lot going for it. If Monster Gate or Reasoning ever gets back to 2 or 3, this deck goes so hard. It's unbelievable. Just the going second capability, like it's not bad going first, just doesn't set that much up unless you have a Void Reignition to send back 11 from Banish to Grave, in which case you reactivate Evil to search for probably like Breach or Imagination or Vanishment. You also have Promethean Princess for an extra pop going first. Like technically going first, most of the time, even when getting interrupted, you'll probably end on 3-4 interruptions, which is definitely enough to get you to your next turn. Going second, you have monster, board wipe, and spell trap, negate, banish with a Nunku, and then you have Devyati, which is a monster negate and a complete Harpy's Feather Duster on your turn, and none of that is once per turn, and all of the little dudes have board clearing effects. I think this deck has a lot going for it. I think it just needs a little bit more of like maybe generic Fiend support, or something to come off the ban list for it. Canine, so I'm not going to use this as an engine. I'm saying this more as like a pure deck, because I think what Konami is going to end up doing is try to mitigate the damage with Canine, so it's just a pure deck, so they don't have to ban Ripper, because banning Ripper nukes the deck into infinity, that no one would be able to play Canine period unless they print a brand new rank 5 searcher. I'm okay with them if they want to print a whole new rank 5 searcher that's its only role is to search or set a card from deck, fine. But until then, they can't ban Ripper, so I think they're going to hit Izuna to 1 or ban Lupus, so that way it just becomes you have to play this pure. And if they do that, they'll probably bring Jokul back to like 2 or 3. I don't know if they're willing to do that, but I could see that happening. So as a pure deck, I could see this as a deck that tops a regionals, but not too often, like it has in the past. I've seen pure Canine top on and off for the past few months, probably tied with Fire King, if that's what happens. If not, then I'd put it up here, somewhere up here, probably at the bottom. But if they hit this deck again, then I'd say it's probably on par. Lunalite, if Liger Dancer gets limited, doesn't matter, and they're getting a whole new card. They're getting like an insane combo piece from what we've been told. Doesn't really care about Enneacraft, doesn't really care about any of this. Only like Earth Machine can get around it, but that's only because they have big bungus cards. Stay around here. The people that are dedicated to playing this are really good at it. And double Liger Dancer, Baguska SP still just wins matches on the spot. Heavy Poly wins matches on the spot. So good. Even if Liger Dancer goes to 1, I still think this is going to be a deck that people should look at. Magnet Warrior, yeah, I put it like in contention with the ability of like Earth Machine post support or Christian K9. I think Magnet Warrior is going to keep topping regionals at a top 64 or higher level. I think I just saw a video that it was pure Magnet Warrior where the dude, I don't remember the exact context, but maybe someone can like link the video or say something about it. But it was a video where the dude was playing pure Magnet Warrior and he couldn't decide on a 40th card, so he just played 1 Engraver and nothing else, just as like a fusion target or something. I don't know how often that might have came up for him, but I think this deck, I think it struggles greatly against these. Maybe not so much branded, but I don't think it has a good matchup into these. It's okay into all these. I think it's like kind of that middle ground of, if you bring this to a regional, like if you bring Magnet Warrior to a regional and you're comfortable with it and you know the lines well and you're prepared, I think you'll always do well. And with the Mark, this deck fell off. This deck severely fell off. You can't go second with this deck. There's no going second with this deck at all. I don't believe in this deck, and that's coming from me who also purchased a max rarity whole core of Odeon. Everything is a CR. Everything that is a C can be a CR is a CR in my Odeon archetype in one of my binders back there. I don't even think it's as good as Assault Mode or Arch. I'm gonna put it here. I don't think it's Genesis level yet, but Melodious. So I put this on here because this deck is good. Can go first, can go second, has a lot of weaknesses, has a lot of strengths, has a lot of 1-card combos, a lot of 1-card starters, a lot of 1.5 card combos. The interruptions it puts up is good. You can play Herald of Purple Light for the Dominus cards, Herald of Green Light for spell cards, Herald of Orange Light for monster negates. Has a lot of flex spots. From what I've seen with people playing this, even still, this deck can do a lot with very little. Like just 1 of the red pendulum and 4 hand traps sometimes just wins the game. 4 hand traps and a 1-card full combo. I think if I put it here, it's with the insinuation that Droll is banned, D-Shifter's banned, Dimensional Fissure's banned, and you have like 10 people playing this at a regionals. Because you need some numbers. Like if you're just one person at a 600 player regional and you're the only one playing Melodious, you're probably not going to top. Even though I think it has the potential to be up here, if you're just the one person, you're likely not going to get that far. Unfortunately, that's just the black and white scenario of the world, how Yu-Gi-Oh works. I think if I'm going to put it anywhere, I think it has a really good matchup into a lot of decks. I think depending on the ban list, I'd put it here. Like tied for here of could potentially top a regionals. I'm pretty confident with that. Could potentially top a regionals. I'm okay with that. These 4 being the potentials, these 5, these 3 being very dependent on the support, ban lists. Mitsu, I'm not gonna lie, even if they limit like prayers or the ritual, this deck it's still getting 3 of the new searcher that you reveal monster, add a spell card. I mean, what more do you want? You know, it's still going to be topping. I think right there, probably. Monarchs. I actually think this deck has a lot of teeth to it. And it's getting that normal summon decks like this and Fluanderies are getting that spell card, the new spell card that allows you to normal summon as a quick play spell. And I think that helps both decks. I think that helps Fluanderies maybe potentially get back into like a rogue status, because that is insane on your opponent's turn. If you just get negated, you have the spell card, you set it, and then you activate that in your opponent's like draw phase, or whenever you can activate that, summon something, summon M-Pen. I think that gets a lot of mileage, and people aren't talking. I don't think people are talking about that enough. Yeah, I'm comfortable with like putting it probably here. Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. So this is Neos. This is like the Cosmo Neos skip turn. I think it's a little gimmicky. You'll probably see like 1 or 2 people top with this, and then it's going to go straight down to here. But for now, I'll put it there just because I know it's going to get like 1 top. So could potentially. Prank Kids. If Meow Meow Mew comes off this ban list, if it goes to 1, I promise you, this deck, I promise that this Prank Kids with all of the combos that it can do, all of the starters that it has, I promise that this will be so extremely overhyped, and it's not going to do anything as much as this is one of my top 5 favorite decks of all time. And I think the most it'll do is potentially top. I would probably even put it there. I don't know. I think this deck is just so outclassed now of like normal summon Lampsies response. Yeah, I'll get rid of your normal summon. Pass. It's just such a coin flip deck of like, are you going first? Yes. Do you have your normal summon? Yes. Do they have an interaction for your normal summon? Like an Ash Blossom? No. You know, double Raigeki, the Harpy's Featherstorm, tons of follow-up, OTK. Do they have a single Ash? Yes. Oops. You lose. I think this deck is very power crept and would need a whole new wave of support. Predaplants. With the new support and the level 1, I think people are overlooking this. I would actually put this like, and when it gets its new support, like a Dread Devil or Dead Devil, Heavenly Dragon, I think once it has its support, I'd probably put it like higher up on the scale. Will definitely top a regionals. But for now, I don't think it's as good as Fiendsmith Chimera Hecka Hands, just with the support that it has now. But it does have Super Poly, actually. And Super Poly, hold up, because Super Duper Poly, I hate that name. Apex Poly, Super Poly kind of cooks the hell out of some of these decks. I'd say it's on par, if not maybe a little bit better than Earth Machine. Again, I think this is very bandless dependent of like, if these top decks, if these 6 right here get hit, all of these move down, and then all of these move way up, because the ceiling will be so much lower. Pumpkin, I don't care what anyone says, and this isn't even cope. This is an actually good deck. I've talked about it with so many people over time. 17 one-card combos and extenders, plus 7, basically anywhere between 15 to 17 non-engine, and they get their new support in this set of the new rank 6, the new level 6, which are all combo pieces that do an insane amount for the deck. Pumpkin can summon out the new level 6 from deck, the Officiator. People aren't looking at this, and I genuinely believe in this deck that if you get enough people to mind meld about this deck and bring it to a regionals, I think at least one of them will get top 64. The problem with this deck isn't that it's not consistent, isn't that it doesn't have enough for hand traps, isn't that it can't play through interruption, like hand traps against you. It's that literally no one is playing this deck. And when people are playing the deck, they're playing the worst goddamn version of it. I'm not going to call out anyone, but the ones that you see on YouTube are not the correct ways to play this deck. It's not like the hype videos. RB Striker, RB Sky Striker. I think this is about here. I don't think I really need to explain this. This deck tops, one person tops with RB at every event. I swear to God, I've seen this time and time again. I think this deck's got a lot of sharp teeth to it, especially if you're unprepared for it. Rescue Ace, I would put this in the same category. This deck can outgrind anything here. Lots of combos, lots of extension, lots of one-card stuff, lots of non-engine space. Heat of the Fire Charmer is really good into Ash Blossom. It's genuinely just an all-around good deck. I need to practice more to see if it's better than any of the stuff up here post-support, because you can run Dominus Impulse and the other one, the green one, the Dominus card, and that really screws over Blue Eyes a lot. I'm less confident with its ability to go second against a lot of these ones, because these all can play through a lot of interruption and just keep comboing as long as they maintain bodies. Ryzeal. If Cross gets banned and they bring everything back to 3, I think this deck like skyrockets up to near here, if not better. Or if they just don't ban Cross and everything just comes back to 3, I think this deck here, again, so Ryzeal is one of those very banless dependent decks. I think K9 is actually a little bit better than Ryzeal, but only because Ryzeal's hurt massively by the limitations and semi-limits and the, like, you know, Bonfire being limited. I think with how poor the consistency is, I think that's why a lot of these decks are better. But if like Bonfire came back to 2 or 3, if their monsters came back to 2 or 3, all of them, Cross maintains its place without being banned, I think this deck would shoot way up here at like will top of regionals. But where it is right now, I'd say like, yeah, I'd say about here. Sprite. So this is on the premise of like Elf coming back, which I'm not confident on. If Elf comes back, where would I place this? Here, in the same vein of like if this stuff comes back. I think it's a little bit better than any of these if Elf comes back. If Elf comes back, if you can play it, if I would say honestly, even if like, what was it, Ronin Toden or one of the other frog cards, whatever one, I think it's Ronin Toden, comes back to like one, I'd say that is when Sprite would be able to like start competing again at a, could potentially top a regionals, given a really good player with a really good background in it who really understands how to play the deck. I think it's better than Prank Kids in terms of going first, second. Better here going first, second. Honestly, I'm gonna move you Bell up to here if I'm doing this way, maybe down to here. Yeah, I just think Sprite's just kind of held back by the ban list. I don't know. This one I'm not too confident on. Striker, I've never lost to a Striker deck yet playing any craft like in a best of 3, but I'm still seeing it top a lot. I probably put it up here. I think this is again one of those things where it's like really depend on what happens with all of these decks, but I think either way this will maintain its position as a deck you're going to keep seeing topping over and over again, like tops 32, 16, 8. Sword Soul, I don't even have to explain that. So I put this one in another engine, Therion. I think it's a really unexplored engine that has a lot of potential. I'd like to see Konami stop focusing so much on branded and give some support back to Sprite and Therion. I really like Therion. I used to play it a lot. I went 2 times undefeated with pure Therion going second. It does have a lot of plays to it, has a lot of grind game. Unfortunately, the cards that I used in there, which really help defensively, like there can be only one, are limited or just banned. So I think Therion, in terms of like it needing more support, only being really used well as an engine right now, and not really having a home otherwise, I put it like, I don't think it's Genesis level. I think actually Vanquish Soul Canine, I don't know, I'm not sure which one wins more often, but I feel like this is still like a better deck overall than Radiant Typhoon. Yeah, that feels about right. White Forest, this is the same thing. If Droll and Lockbird gets banned, if D Fisher is gone, if Shifter is gone, where's this deck going to be at? Especially if all of this stuff gets hit and the bar gets super lowered, then I think this deck immediately skyrockets up to here. 2-ton Grizzly Bear being held back by a single stick with a scary face on it. It is just like, and that stick with a scary face is that Twink Boy Droll, the Dimensional Fissure, and D Shifter. I think that's it. I think once those barriers are gone, this deck just explodes, because there's just not so much recursion, so much advantage, so much going first potential, so much going second potential. The Asmina stuff's crazy. You would have to limit or get rid of like some of the wanted engine for this not to be up here, given a specific kind of ban list. And again, a lot of this list is my justification of if the ban list does this or that. This is Kashtira. I put this on here because there's some speculation that, you know, if they're printing these sorts of Kashtira cards for Alistair the Invoker, the Archetype, and they're even better than a Rise Heart, then maybe a Rise Heart could come back. I don't know how I feel about that. I feel like a Rise Heart could potentially come back. I don't know. It feels weird even saying that. I think it depends on the ban list. I think just with anything, Kashtira has a lot of potential. I don't know if that potential is equal to being able to top a regional. You could probably top a locals, honestly, here. This is Mermail. I'm so sick and tired of seeing this deck. I genuinely have a hatred. I want it gone. Something off the ban list to help it, unfortunately, but this deck is not putting up many results anymore at all. But I still think top a regional. But honestly, like, I'm not gonna lie, I feel like I could bring a Pumpkin deck going first or second against Atlantean Mermail. Just one Pumpkin and then have my hand like 4 non-engine and just mop the floor with them, especially with the new support. I'm not gonna lie, I think Atlantean Mermail has the problem of like they're gonna turbo shit out all their stuff in their hand, and if it doesn't work, then they're just like kind of done. I really hope one day that Regenesis gets support. This deck, I genuinely hope one day Regenesis gets support. It deserves it. I think it's more like a Regenesis Kashtira thing, which I would put like around here. Dinomorphia, I think you'll top a locals with this at like a casual event. I think it's better than some stuff here. I don't think it's better than Monarch. I think it's better than the other stuff though, honestly. Elf Notes. Yeah. When I played against this deck at a regional, I just feel like it didn't do anything. It was just, I'm gonna move some monster zones and bounce your shit back, and I'm like, all right, I'm just gonna reset everything. I just feel like this deck has potential, but I feel like it does a whole lot for absolutely nothing. Like, I never struggled against this deck, so I'm very biased against it because I felt like it just didn't do anything. I recognize it's better than a lot of the decks here. And I know it's topped events, but it's only topped events because it's mixed with a bunch of other stuff like Fiendsmith. I think Elf Note in itself has like no real power behind it. I don't think this deck is real. I think it's kind of mid. I recognize that it's probably gonna keep topping regionals, but I don't think that's on any merit of its own. I think it's just kind of like being constantly mixed with Art Mage and Fiendsmith and all that. This is Art Mage, and you know, this is Konami's new branded. I think it's just going to keep getting support. I don't think I've seen this deck top regionals at all, but I think it has a lot of potential to, but I don't think that potential is all that high. So I probably, depending on the ban list and what happens to Power Patron and Art Mage and all that, I'd probably put it here. Doomsy, this deck's pretty good, I'm not gonna lie. I think I'd put it about here. I think Doomsy has a lot going for it, but I also think that Doomsy suffers from the same problem of you can open up 4 hand traps and a 1-card starter, and then it becomes a pissing contest with your opponent of, do you have a 1-card out to my 1-card? If you do, are you going to top deck another 1-card combo with whatever else you have already on the board? If you do, I lose. I think Doomsy can play through quite a lot though. I have to wait to see where it starts landing on tournament reports to make a justifiable argument for or against it. From watching all the stuff on YouTube, there's a lot of hype around it, but I'm not sure if that will translate into it actually performing well. Time will tell with that one. I have hope with it. I think it'll top. I think any of those in that category can top a regionals. And you can say what you want. Like I said, beginning of the video, take everything that I've said in this entire video with a large grain of salt. I'm not saying I'm right on any of this. This is just my thoughts and opinions on some of the more recent decks or decks that I've been playing for a while now. Feel free to say some mean shit in the comments. I will not read them, so you have fun with that. But again, this video is mostly just because some of my friends have been asking me to make tier lists on what decks I think are good, what decks I think are mid, what decks I think are great, you know, where would I place them. This is my list of every deck that I could reasonably think of that has some sort of, I don't know, relevancy in my brain, decks I think about. So that's it. That's where I'm gonna leave this, and you do what you want with it. But that is my video for today. Hopefully there's some insight into this. Please ask questions if you want. Those ones I'll read and respond to. Might not do this again, who knows. Either way, I'll see you in the next one. See ya.